Takami, a middle-aged salaryman, gets his whole life changed completely when he gets summoned to Midgard, an isekai world. There, he gets a warm welcome from Lady Nolan, the goddess in charge. Although, it turns out poor old Takami wasn't even supposed to be summoned and got brought here through otherworld summoning performed by the Kingdom of Sidonia. Nolan explains this spell was dangerous as it clashed with the laws of Earth and could end up endangering Midgard. Because of that, it was forbidden, but the sneaky people of Sidonia still used it. Takami asks Norn to then send him back, but Nolan had already sealed the spell away, so those darn Sidonians can't perform it again. Although the one teensy bit of a problem regarding that was that Takami could no longer go back home anymore. Nolan suggests Takami start his life all over again, this time by being a resident of Midgard. Not only was Takami brought there by accident, but there was also the risk that the Kingdom of Sidonia would treat him harshly since he wasn't meant to come. Nolan tries to reassure Takami by giving him her blessings. She then asks him to check his status, from where he finds out he would be a 17-year-old in Midgard, despite being in his 40s in the real world. Checking his status, Takami finds a decent number of jobs available on it, such as thief, swordsman, alchemist, and blacksmith. Takami leaned more towards a normal production job, leaving Nolan unimpressed by his wimpiness. She then proceeds to create a magical crystal out of thin air and gently blows it inside Takami, who stays perfectly calm through it. Norn then tells Takami he was going to the continent of Asgard, as she bids him farewell, without offering any further explanations. Crashing like a meteorite, Takami is pleasantly surprised when he catches a glimpse of his above-average face in the lake's reflection. He then checks out his skill set and decides to try out a few. He slashes through blades of grass like a sword with his wind cutter skill, and punctures deep holes into trees with rock ball, realizing he really was in an isekai fantasy world. On his way to find a village, Takami crafts a perfect spear from a stick using his blacksmith skill and gathers herbs and mushrooms for potions and poisons. Although getting carried away, he gathers a bit too much. Thankfully, his item box saves the day as he expresses his gratitude towards Nolan for these amazing skills. Then, all of a sudden, a little girl comes running to him, followed by a giant carnivorous horned rabbit. Takami wields his spear while trembling in fear at the thought of becoming bunny food. He manages to finish off the rabbit in a single strike. Takami then stores the dead rabbit's carcass in his item box, and the little girl takes him back to her village. Meanwhile, 3 high school students, who were probably summoned there before Takami by the Kingdom of Sidonia, stand puzzled as to what was going on. A cloaked lady then walks up to them and welcomes them. The trio confronts her immediately about where they were and what was happening. The cloaked lady, lifting her hood, reveals that she was Elizabeth, the first empress of the Holy Kingdom of Sidonia, and that all their confusions will be cleared shortly. Akami's revelation skill warns her that Elizabeth was not untrustworthy. Back at Asgard, Takami gets welcomed by the little girl's parents, her father Banga, the village hunter, and her mother Martha, and the town's blacksmith, Boban. The little girl's parents thank him graciously for saving their daughter and welcome Takami to their village, allowing him to stay for as long as he wanted, since an herbalist like him would prove useful. Then comes the task of building Takami a place to stay, as the village had no inns. Takami, using his earth and mana manipulation, levels the ground first, although he gets a bit shaky afterwards from using too much mana. We fast forward a little bit, and Takami now had a cozy, well-furnished house ready, just for him. Takami changes his job titles from warrior and mage to blacksmith and alchemist. Once he's done doing that, Takami starts off putting his alchemy skills to the test by crafting iron and copper ingots from the ore he received from Boban. Around evening time, Molly comes to tell Takami that dinner was ready, only to find a passed-out Takami on the floor. Takami had used up all his mana while crafting those ingots, which resulted in him losing consciousness. Thankfully, after drinking a healing potion he got from Martha, he was back to normal. Although the price to pay for it was a stern scolding session from Martha for his carelessness. Takami then continues to create even more stuff, like cooking utensils and axes, using his alchemy skills significantly, boosting its level, although he was forced to keep it in moderation this time around, thanks to Martha keeping an eye on him. Afterwards, alongside Boban, Takami uses his fire skill to craft a beautiful sword blade that Boban hails as his finest work yet. This skyrockets his blacksmith skill level to 40. Takami then asks Banga for some potions so he could practice making some himself, since he already had quite a stock of herbs on him. Banga readily agrees to giving what basic potions he had, asking for some from the promising young mage in return when he finishes making them. Takami conjures up some potions, although the colors don't match the original, which he assumes is because of his mana, possibly. He then goes out to eat a variety of poisonous plants, after he heard somewhere it was the quickest way of developing resistance against them, though he nearly loses his life during it. On the bright side, he learns purification magic whilst trying to save his life, but simultaneously promises himself to not do this again. Suddenly, a giant armored boar appears and charges at Takami. He throws a dagger at him, but it bounces right off its tough armor. Similarly, when he goes to jab it with his spear, it breaks like a twig. Neither of his melee weapons working, Takami narrowly dodges the boar from making mincemeat out of him. He then resorts to Wind Cutter and Rock Ball, but those two have little to no effect on the mighty beast as well. He then discovers an injured spider amongst the bushes, believing even more trouble had shown up. However, the spider jumps onto the wild boar, blinding it momentarily and saving him in the process. That is unfortunately not enough, as the boar is ready to tear Takami up into shreds the next second. Frantically panicking about what to do now, but also determined to not let it all end there, Takami does some quick thinking and tries something different this time. He uses Decompose from Alchemy right on the boar's head. It fortunately works like a charm, instantly taking it out. He then heads over to the injured poisonous spider and heals it up. This ends up taming the spider instead, who instantly develops an affection towards him. Naming it Kade, which was Japanese for maple because of the white pattern on its back that resembled a maple leaf, Takami then carries Kade on his back to the village with him. There, at the village, Takami impresses everyone with his massive catch. Although he scares them all as well when they catch a glimpse of Kade. He tells them he had tamed her, but none of the villagers had ever heard of an instance of any insect monster being tamed before. He then invites everyone to feast on his catch with him. Bomba tells Takami he could sell the boar's hide and fangs in a city, with the nearest one being Bolton. As Banga and Boban discuss Takami's promising future, a glimpse of a beautiful green-eyed elf girl peering out her window implies a possible interaction between the two in the near future. Simultaneously, in the final scene of the episode, through an assistant of Lady Nolan, it is revealed that not only had she granted Takami life and her blessings, but she had also sent him back a year before the whole Sidonia summoning incident even happened, leaving us wondering as to what exactly her intentions with Takami were. Stay connected, like and subscribe for more fun recaps on one and only Endless Recaps.